You ever notice how the loudest people in the room are usually the ones going nowhere? I need you to really sit with that for a second. Think about the people you know who are always talking, always posting, always explaining themselves to anybody who will listen. Now think about where they are in life. Think about their bank account. Think about their peace of mind. It ain't where you want to be, is it? You're watching this right now because something inside you knows you're playing too small. Something inside you is tired of giving people the play of your life, tired of defending your dreams to people who ain't never done nothing, tired of arguing with people who don't even have a seat at your table. And I'm here to tell you the most important thing you will ever hear when it comes to changing your life. You gotta learn to shut up. You gotta learn to pull all that energy back into yourself and focus on your own grind. I know that sounds harsh, but I'd rather be harsh and right than sweet and wrong. You have been leaking your power for years, drop by drop, word by word, by talking too much, by explaining too much, by trying to get people to understand you. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time explaining yourself actually worked? When was the last time you convinced somebody who doubted you, and after you convinced them, your life magically got better? It didn't, because the people who need you to explain yourself are never going to understand you anyway. They are not equipped to understand your vision. They don't have the eyes to see what you see. So why are you wearing out your vocal cords trying to paint a picture for a blind man? Look at where you are right now. You're stressed out. You're losing sleep over what people think about you. You're checking your phone to see who liked your post. You're worrying about what your family is going to say at the next cookout. You're worried about your friends talking behind your back. And while you are worried about all of them, who is worrying about you? Who is laying awake at night thinking about how to pay your bills? Who is waking up early to build your dream? Nobody but you. So why do they get so much of your mental real estate? Why do they get to live rent-free in your head? You gotta evict them, and the only way to evict them is to stop talking to them. You see, when you talk, you give people ammunition. You hand them the bullets they use to shoot down your dreams. You say, I'm thinking about starting this business. And they say, oh really, with what money? And now you're on the defensive. Now you're explaining your finances to somebody who eats out every day and has zero savings. You're getting financial advice from a broke person and you're letting it bother you. Do you realize how crazy that is? You are letting people who have never achieved anything significant make you feel bad about trying to achieve something significant. That is a sickness, and the cure is silence. I need you to understand what focus really means. Focus is not just staring at a book. Focus is a spiritual discipline. Focus means you have decided that your future is more important than your phone. Focus means you have decided that your peace is more important than their opinion. When you lock in on yourself, something shifts inside your brain. You stop caring about the noise. You stop reacting to the drama because you are building something. You are on a mission, and people on a mission don't have time for side conversations. Think about a sniper. A sniper doesn't look around. A sniper doesn't check the crowd to see who is watching. A sniper has one job. Find the target, eliminate the target. That's it. You need to be a sniper with your life. Find your target. What is it you actually want? Not what your mama wants, not what your partner wants, not what society wants. What do you want? When you figure that out, lock onto it and do not take your eye off it. Do not let somebody pull you out of your scope because they want to argue about something that doesn't matter. Let them argue, let them talk, let them think they won the conversation. Because while they are celebrating winning an argument with you, You are winning at life by not engaging. Now, let's talk about relationships, because I know a lot of you are watching this through the lens of a broken heart or a frustrating situation at home. You're giving your best energy to somebody who is giving you their leftovers. You're pouring yourself into a relationship that is draining you dry. And you're talking about it. Oh, you're talking about it. You're telling your friends. You're telling your cousins. You're posting little cryptic quotes on social media, hoping that person sees it and feels guilty. They don't feel guilty. They don't even care. You know why? Because you showed them that you have all this time and energy to waste on being upset instead of being productive. When you stop talking and start moving, you become intimidating. You become mysterious. You become something they can no longer control. And control is what it's really about, isn't it? People want you to talk so they can keep track of where you are emotionally. If you're always complaining, they know you're hurting. They know you're not going anywhere. But the minute you go silent, the minute you stop calling, the minute you stop explaining your feelings, the minute you just smile, nod, and disappear into your own world, panic sets in. Not because they love you more, but because they lost their grip on you. And that is a powerful place to be. But don't go silent just to manipulate somebody. That's childish. Go silent because you genuinely realize that your time is the most valuable asset you have, and you are done spending it on things that don't produce a return. Think about your time like money. If you had $1,000, would you walk into a store and just hand it to a stranger? Of course not. But you hand hours of your life to strangers every single day. You hand hours to people who don't respect you. You hand hours to jobs that don't pay you enough. You hand hours to arguments that don't change anything. And then you wonder why you're broke, not just financially, spiritually broke, emotionally broke. You are in a deficit, and you keep writing checks you can't cash. I'm telling you right now, you gotta close the account. Stop letting people make withdrawals from your energy without making a deposit. And the fastest way to stop the withdrawals is to stop making yourself available for the transaction. When they call, don't answer. When they text, don't reply right away. When they start drama, look at them like they're speaking a language you don't understand anymore. Because honestly, they are. The language of drama and confusion is a language you used to speak fluently. But you're learning a new language now, the language of purpose, the language of discipline, and in that language, there is no word for explaining yourself. Let me walk you through a scenario. You're at work. You decide you're going to start a side hustle. You're excited. You feel that fire in your chest. So what do? You tell your coworker, big mistake. You just told somebody who is stuck in the same matrix you're trying to escape. You just told somebody who secretly hopes you fail, because if you succeed, it means they could have succeeded too. And they can't handle that guilt. So what do? They start planting seeds of doubt. Man, that's risky. You know most businesses fail in the first year, right? You sure you have time for that with the kids? I tried something like that once, didn't work out. And just like that, your fire is dampened. You go home that night, and instead of working on your plan, you're sitting on the couch thinking about all the reasons it might not work. You let one conversation steal your momentum that took you months to build, gone in 5 minutes. Because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. You see, your dreams are like a newborn baby. They are fragile in the beginning. They need protection. They need warmth. They need a safe environment to grow. When you take that baby and put it in front of a crowd of people who don't care about it, they are going to say mean things. They are going to judge it. They are going to tell you something is wrong with it, and that baby might not survive. So keep your baby hidden, nurture it, feed it in the dark, let it get strong. And when it's big enough to stand on its own, when it's making noise on its own, when it's producing results on its own, then you don't have to say anything. People will see it. Results speak. Silence produces results. Talking produces opinions, and opinions don't pay bills. I want you to think about the most successful person you know personally, not a celebrity, not somebody on TV. A real person in your life who has money, who has a good family, who seems to have it together. How much does that person talk about what they're doing? Probably not much. They're quiet about their moves. They show up, they handle their business, and they go home. They don't post every detail of their life. They don't argue with people online. They don't get pulled into gossip. Because they understand something that you are just now learning. Energy is currency, and they are not spending their currency on things that don't appreciate in value. Every word you speak is a unit of energy. Every argument is a withdrawal. Every social media post where you're defending yourself is a withdrawal. And at the end of the day, if you've spent all your energy on things that don't matter, you have nothing left for the things that do. You sit down to work on your goal and you're tired, not physically tired, mentally drained, emotionally empty. And you blame it on stress, you blame it on your job, you blame it on your relationship. But the truth is, you burned your own fuel. You set your own house on fire and then complained about the smoke. This is why I say focus on yourself with a level of intensity that makes people uncomfortable. Not angry uncomfortable, intimidated uncomfortable. When people see you changing, they get nervous. Because change in you forces them to look at themselves. If you start waking up early, reading books, eating right, making money, and keeping to yourself, the people around you are going to feel exposed. They are going to feel like they are falling behind. And instead of being inspired by you, most of them will try to pull you back down. Because misery does not just love company. Misery needs company. Misery cannot survive without somebody to complain to. So when you stop being that person, when you stop being the dumping ground for everybody else's emotional garbage, they are going to get mad at you. They are going to say you changed. They are going to say you think you're better than everybody. Let them say it. Because you are better, not better as a human being. Better than the version of yourself you used to be. And if they can't handle that, that's their problem. You are not a hospital for broken people. You are not a therapy clinic. You are a person with a purpose, and you have been distracted from that purpose for too long. Let's get real about the relationship stuff for a minute. Because I know this is where a lot of you are bleeding. You're in a situation where you love somebody, but they are not giving you what you need. And instead of addressing it with action, you're addressing it with words. You're having the same conversation for the third time this month. If you would just communicate more, if you would just show me you care, if you would just do this one thing. And they nod and they agree and nothing changes. You know why nothing changes? Because you keep accepting the nothing. You keep showing up. You keep giving. You keep talking. And they keep doing exactly what they were doing. You want to know the fastest way to change how somebody treats you. Change how you respond to what they do. Stop talking, start acting. If you say you need more effort and they don't give it, stop giving your effort. Not out of spite, out of self-respect. If you say you need consistency and they are all over the place, stop being consistent for them. Go be consistent with yourself. Go to the gym, read a book, build your business, upgrade your life. And watch what happens. When you pull your attention away and put it entirely on yourself, one of two things is going to happen. They are going to realize they are losing you and step up, or they are going to keep doing what they're doing and fade away. And either one of those outcomes is better than what you have right now, because right now you are in limbo. You are stuck in a cycle of talk and disappointment, and that cycle will kill your spirit faster than any breakup ever could. You gotta understand that words are cheap. Everybody can talk. Everybody can make a promise. Everybody can say the right thing in the moment. But watch what people do when they think you're not looking. Watch what they do consistently, not once. Not when they want something. Consistently, and more importantly, watch what you do. Are you consistently investing in yourself? Or are you consistently investing in people who don't invest in you? You are the common denominator in every relationship you have. Every friendship, every romance, every job, the one thing that is always there is you. So if all your relationships have the same problem, the problem ain't them. It's your standards, and you cannot raise your standards while you are still talking to people who operate at a low level. You gotta go quiet, you gotta go dark for a while, not forever, but long enough to figure out who you are without all the noise, long enough to build a foundation that nobody can shake, long enough to become the kind of person who doesn't need to explain themselves because their life speaks for itself. I'm going to tell you something that might hurt, but I'd rather you hear it from me now than learn it the hard way 10 years from now. Most people in your life do not want you to succeed. I know that's tough to hear. I know you want to believe your friends and family are all rooting for you. And maybe some of them are, but most of them are not. Not because they are evil, but because your success makes them feel inadequate. It forces them to confront their own laziness, their own fear, their own excuses, and most people are not willing to do that. So it is easier for them if you stay the same. It is easier for them if you keep struggling, because then they don't have to feel bad about their own struggles. You make them comfortable in their mediocrity, and when you start to rise, you make them uncomfortable. So they will say things to discourage you, not always directly. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's a little joke. Sometimes it's a backhanded compliment. Oh, look at you, all motivated. Let's see how long this lasts. They laugh, you laugh, but that seed gets planted. And the next morning when your alarm goes off at 5, you hear that laugh in your head. And you turn off the alarm and go back to sleep. You let a 5-second comment from a mediocre person steal your entire future. Think about that. One sentence from somebody who has nothing destroyed a decision that could have given you everything. And it only had power because you were open, because you were talking, because you made yourself a target. You gotta become a vault, locked, sealed. Nobody gets the combination. Nobody knows what's inside until you're ready to open the doors and show them the finished product. You think the people who built empires sat around telling everybody their plans. You think they posted their blueprint on social media and asked people what they thought. No, they went to work, they failed in private, they struggled in private, they cried in private, they learned in private. And then they emerged in public with something so powerful, so undeniable, that nobody could say a word. That's what you need to do. You need to build something so real that opinions become irrelevant. Right now you care about opinions because you don't have enough results to stand on. When you have nothing to show for your talk, every criticism hurts. But when you have the bank account, when you have the body, when you have the business, when you have the life, somebody saying you can't do it sounds like a joke. It sounds like background noise. It doesn't even register, because you're standing on a mountain and they're standing in a valley yelling up at you. You can't even hear them clearly, and you definitely don't care. That's the position you need to get to. And the path to that position is paved with silence and hard work. Now I want to talk about the uncomfortable part of silence. Because it's not easy. When you first stop talking, when you first stop engaging, it's going to feel weird. You're going to feel isolated. You're going to feel like you're being left out because you were addicted to the drama. You were addicted to the interaction. Even when it was negative, even when it was hurting you, it was familiar. And human beings are drawn to what is familiar, even if what is familiar is destroying them. You have to sit through that discomfort. You have to sit in the quiet and not run from it, because in that quiet is where you meet yourself. And a lot of you are terrified of meeting yourselves. A lot of you are terrified of being alone with your own thoughts because you know deep down you haven't been doing what you're supposed to do. You know you've been playing around. You know you've been wasting time, and the silence exposes that. The silence forces you to look in the mirror and be honest about who you are and what you've been doing. That's why you keep the noise going. The phone, the TV, the arguments, the gossip. It's all a distraction from the truth. And the truth is, you are capable of so much more than what you're currently doing. But as long as you keep talking and distracting, you never have to face that truth. And if you never face it, you never change. And if you never change, you're going to be in the exact same spot next year. Same job, same relationship problems, same bank account, same complaints, just a little older, a little more tired, a little more bitter. Is that what you want? Another year of the same thing? Because if you don't change your input, your output is not going to change. And the number one input you need to change is what comes out of your mouth and what you allow into your ears. Stop listening to people who don't have what you want. I don't care if they're family. I don't care if you've known them since kindergarten. If they don't have the life you want, their advice is useless to you. They are giving you directions to a place they have never been. How can somebody give you a map to a destination they never reached? They can't, but they will try. Because people love giving advice. It makes them feel important. It makes them feel wise. Let them feel wise somewhere else. You need to get your information from people who are where you want to be. Read their books, listen to their interviews, study their habits, and then go practice those habits in silence. You don't need to announce that you're reading a book. You don't need to post a picture of the book with a little inspirational quote. Just read it, apply it. Get better, let the results announce themselves. I guarantee you, when the results show up, people are going to ask you what happened. They're going to ask you what changed, and you know what you're going to say. Nothing. Just smile and say nothing. Because they still don't get it. They still think there's a secret. They still think there's a shortcut. And there is no shortcut. There's just a lot of silent, boring, repetitive, disciplined work that nobody sees. That's the secret. The secret is that there is no secret. There's just doing the thing when nobody is watching. There's just putting in the hours when everybody else is sleeping or scrolling or gossiping. That's it. That's the whole formula. I want to talk about something else that happens when you start focusing on yourself. You start losing people. And I need you to be okay with that before it happens so you don't panic and go running back. When you upgrade your life, some people will not fit into your new life anymore. It's like putting a new engine in an old car. The car can't handle it. The frame wasn't built for that kind of power. And when you start operating at a higher level, some relationships will crack under the pressure. Friends you used to hang out with every weekend will start to feel like a burden. Conversations you used to enjoy will start to feel empty. You'll be sitting there listening to somebody complain about the same thing they complained about last year, and you'll realize you're not in that movie anymore. You're in a different film now, and it's okay to walk out of the theater. It doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you're better than them as a person. It just means your trajectory has changed, and you can't take everybody with you. Not everyone is supposed to go where you're going. Some people are only in your life for a season, and when that season is over, you have to have the courage to let them go. Holding on to people who are holding you back is the most expensive thing you will ever do. It costs you your potential. It costs you your time. It costs you your destiny, and no friendship is worth that. No relationship is worth that. If being around somebody makes you smaller, you have to stop being around them, period. No conversation needed. No explanation required. Just slowly, quietly, gracefully remove yourself from the dynamic. Go silent. Fade back. Let the distance do the work for you. You don't need a dramatic breakup speech. You don't need to list all the reasons. Just go focus on your life and let the relationship naturally run out of oxygen. Because relationships without attention can't breathe. And if the relationship is worth saving, the other person will step up and reach out. And if they don't, you just got your answer. Silence has a way of revealing who actually cares about you and who was just around for convenience. Let me tell you about the power of mystery. In a world where everybody is oversharing, where everybody is posting their every move, their every meal, their every emotion, the person who says nothing becomes magnetic. People are drawn to what they can't figure out. People are attracted to what they can't access. When you stop posting, stop explaining, stop defending, people start wondering about you. They start imagining, and what they imagine is usually more powerful than anything you could say. This applies to your personal life and your professional life. In business, the person who talks the most usually knows the least. The person who sits in the meeting, takes notes, asks one sharp question, and then goes quiet is the one running things. People notice that energy. People respect that energy because it signals that you are not trying to impress anybody. You are not seeking approval. You are just observing, calculating, and executing. That is powerful. And you can develop that energy starting today, starting right now, by simply closing your mouth and opening your mind. I need you to understand something about discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is love. Discipline is you saying to yourself, I love you enough to not let you fail. I love you enough to make you do the things you don't want to do so you can have the things you've never had. Every time you sit down to work instead of scrolling, that's love. Every time you go to the gym instead of going to the party, that's love. Every time you keep your mouth shut instead of arguing, that's love. You are showing yourself that you matter, that your future matters, that your goals matter more than the temporary satisfaction of winning an argument or getting a laugh or fitting in. And the more you practice that kind of self-love, the stronger you get, the more unshakable you become. Because you are building a foundation on something real, not on other people's opinions, not on external validation, but on your own word to yourself. And when your word to yourself is solid, nothing can break you, no rejection, no betrayal, no failure, because you know you are going to keep showing up for yourself no matter what. That is the kind of person who wins in the end, not the most talented person, not the smartest person, the most disciplined person, the person who can endure the silence, the person who can handle being misunderstood, the person who can keep going when nobody is clapping. And let's be real about failure for a second. One of the biggest reasons you talk so much is because you're afraid of failing. And you think that if you tell everybody what you're doing, it creates some kind of accountability. Like if I announce it, I'll be too embarrassed to quit. That is the worst strategy I have ever heard. Because now, instead of just dealing with your own disappointment if you fail, you have to deal with everybody else's judgment. You've added 1,000 eyes to your process, and those eyes don't help you. They paralyze you. They make you play small. They make you cautious. They make you afraid to take risks, because what if people see you fall? Let me tell you something. You're going to fall, you're going to fail, you're going to mess up. That is part of the process. But if you fail in private, it's just a lesson. It's just data. You figure out what went wrong, you adjust, and you try again. Nobody needs to know. But if you fail in public, now it's a story, now it's a narrative, now people are talking about you. And instead of focusing on getting back up, you're focusing on damage control. You're trying to save face. You're trying to explain what happened, and all of that takes energy away from the only thing that matters, which is getting back to work. So fail in private, learn in private, grow in private, and succeed in public. That is the formula. That is the only formula that works. I want to talk directly to the person who is in a toxic situation right now. You know who you are. You're in a relationship or a living situation or a job that is eating your soul. And you're talking about it constantly. You're telling everybody how miserable you are, but you're not leaving. You're not changing it. You're just talking, and every time you talk about it without taking action, you reinforce your identity as a victim. You strengthen the chains because now it's a story. Now it's who you are. It's the thing people know you for. She's the one with the crazy boyfriend. He's the one with the toxic boss. That becomes your brand, and as long as you keep talking about it, you keep feeding it, you keep giving it life, the only way to kill a toxic situation is to starve it of attention. Stop talking about it. Stop complaining about it. Take all that energy and put it into your exit plan. Use the anger. Use the frustration. Use the pain. Don't waste it on words. Convert it into fuel. Every time you want to complain, write down a step you're going to take to get out. Every time you want to vent to a friend, use that time to research your next move. Every time you want to cry about how unfair it is, go do something that makes you stronger. Lift a weight, read a chapter, send a resume, take an action, because action is the antidote to suffering. And talking without action is just suffering with an audience. You don't need an audience, you need a plan. And you need the discipline to execute that plan in complete silence until the day you walk out of that situation and never look back. Now let me address the guilt, because I know some of you feel guilty about pulling back. You feel like you're being selfish. You feel like you're being cold. You feel like people are going to think you're mean. Let me redefine selfish for you. Selfish is staying small so other people feel comfortable. Selfish is not developing your gifts because you're afraid of outgrowing your friends. Selfish is giving your best years to a situation that you know is wrong because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. That is selfish because you are withholding the best version of yourself from the world. The world needs what you have. But the world is never going to get it if you keep burying it under people, pleasing and small talk and drama. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is the most generous thing you can do, because when you become the best version of yourself, you elevate everybody around you. You become an example, you become a light, you become proof that change is possible. Your success inspires people more than your words ever could. So don't feel guilty about going dark for a while. Don't feel bad about protecting your peace. Anybody who genuinely loves you will understand. And if they don't, they were using you. They were using you for entertainment, for emotional support, for a punching bag. And you are not a punching bag. You are a person with potential, with purpose, with a destiny that is waiting for you to claim it. I need you to make a decision right now, not later, not tomorrow, not next Monday, right now. Decide that from this moment forward you are going on an information diet. You are going to stop consuming gossip. You are going to stop sharing your plans. You are going to stop defending yourself. You are going to go into the workshop of your own mind and lock the door, and you are going to build. You are going to build your body. You are going to build your skills. You are going to build your bank account. You are going to build your character, and you are going to do it one brick at a time, one day at a time, in complete silence. And it's going to be lonely sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be uncomfortable. There are going to be nights when you're working and everybody else is out having fun, and you're going to question if it's worth it. It is worth it. Every single second of it is worth it. Because on the other side of that silence is a version of yourself that you have only dreamed about. On the other side of that discipline is a life that most people will never experience because they were too busy talking about what they were going to do instead of actually doing it. You are not most people. You are watching this because you know you were made for more. You know there is something inside you that has not been unleashed yet. And the only thing standing between you and that version of yourself is your inability to shut up and focus. Think about how much time you've already wasted. I'm not saying this to beat you up. I'm saying it to wake you up. How many years have you been talking about the same goals? How many New Year's resolutions have you made and broken? How many times have you said this is my year, and it wasn't your year? It wasn't your year because you spent the whole year talking instead of working. You spent the whole year reacting instead of creating. You spent the whole year giving pieces of yourself to people who didn't even appreciate them. That stops today, not because I said so, but because you're tired. You're tired of the cycle. You're tired of the disappointment. You're tired of watching other people pass you by while you sit on the sidelines explaining why you haven't started yet. Get off the sidelines, get in the game, and play it quiet. Play it focused. Play it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your life literally depends on your ability to focus on what matters and ignore everything else. Every distracted minute is a minute you can't get back. Every wasted conversation is energy you can't recover. The clock is ticking. It's ticking for all of us. And the question is, when your time is up, are you going to have a list of things you talked about doing or a list of things you actually did? Are you going to have a bunch of stories about what could have been or a life that shows what was? I want you to feel the weight of that. Really feel it, because that feeling is your fuel. That discomfort you're feeling right now, that knot in your stomach, that voice in your head saying you need to do better, that's not anxiety. That's your intuition. That's your soul trying to get your attention. It's been trying for years, but you've been drowning it out with noise, with conversations, with arguments, with distractions, with anything and everything that keeps you from sitting still and facing the truth that you are powerful, the truth that you are capable, the truth that you have been playing a game that was designed for you to lose, and you keep playing by the rules. Stop playing by their rules. The rules say you should explain yourself. Don't. The rules say you should care what people think. Don't. The rules say you should stay in your lane. Don't. The rules were written by people who want you to stay small so they can feel big. Tear up the rule book. Go silent. Go to work and write your own rules. There's a concept I want you to understand. It's called the Valley of Disappointment. When you start focusing on yourself, when you start putting in the work, you're not going to see results right away. You're going to go to the gym for 2 weeks and look in the mirror and see no change. You're going to work on your business for a month and not make a single dime. You're going to read 5 books and not feel any smarter. And that's the moment where most people quit. That's the valley of disappointment. It's the gap between where you expect to be and where you actually are. And it's in that gap that most people start talking again. They start complaining. They start making excuses. They start telling people it didn't work, and they quit. But the people who make it, the people who really transform their lives, are the ones who keep going through the valley. In silence, without validation, without proof that it's working. They just keep going because they made a decision. Not a feeling, a decision, and they honor that decision even when it doesn't feel good, even when it's boring, even when nobody notices. That is the difference between a winner and everybody else. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's the willingness to walk through the valley alone without saying a word. And if you can do that, if you can endure that period of invisible growth, you will come out on the other side and the results will hit you all at once. And everybody who doubted you will act like they always believed in you, and you'll just smile because you know the truth. You know what it took. You know about the silent nights, the early mornings, the lonely road, and they'll never know. And that's okay, because it wasn't for them anyway. Let me speak to the person who has been hurt. The person who got their heart broken and has been talking about it ever since, telling the story over and over. To anybody who will listen, rehearsing the pain, replaying the conversation, analyzing what they said and what you said and what you should have said, you are keeping yourself in a prison that the other person already walked out of. They moved on, they're living their life, and you're sitting in a cell retelling the story of how you got locked up. Open the door, walk out, and stop talking about it. I know it hurts, I know it's deep, but talking about pain doesn't heal pain. It just keeps the wound open. Silence and action heal pain. You heal by becoming so strong, so focused, so built up that the thing that broke you becomes irrelevant. You don't heal by talking about the person who hurt you. You heal by becoming a person that the one who hurt you doesn't even recognize anymore. You upgrade yourself out of the pain. You grow yourself past the wound, and you do it quietly. Because every time you tell the story, you give that person power over your present. They hurt you in the past, but when you talk about it in the present, you are letting them hurt you again. You are reliving it. You are choosing to suffer again. Why would you do that to yourself? You deserve better than that. Take your power back, take your story back, and don't tell it to anybody. Just let it fuel you. Let the anger push you. Let the sadness drive you. Convert that negative energy into something so positive and so powerful that it changes the trajectory of your entire life. That is the ultimate revenge, not telling people what they did to you, but becoming so successful, so fulfilled, so at peace that what they did to you doesn't matter anymore. That is power. That is real, unshakable, undeniable power, and it is available to you the moment you decide to stop talking and start building. I'm going to ask you to do something uncomfortable. After this video ends, I want you to put your phone on Do Not Disturb. I want you to close every tab. I want you to sit in silence for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes, no music. No TV, no talking, just you and your thoughts. And in those 10 minutes, I want you to ask yourself one question. What am I actually doing with my life? Not what am I planning to do? Not what am I hoping to do? What am I actually doing? Right now, today, this week, this month, be honest with yourself, because you can lie to everybody else. You can post whatever you want. You can tell people whatever story you want, but you cannot lie to yourself in the silence. The silence strips away all the pretense. The silence removes the mask, and in that silence you will see the truth. And the truth might be hard to look at. It might be painful. It might make you want to turn the video back on or pick up your phone and start scrolling just to escape it. Don't escape it. Look at it. Face it. Because that truth is the starting line. That truth is where your real life begins. Everything before this was a rehearsal. Everything before this was you playing around. But when you face the truth about where you are and what you've been doing, and you decide in that moment to change it, that's when the curtain goes up. That's when the real show starts, and it starts in silence. It starts with a decision that nobody else can hear. It starts with a commitment that nobody else knows about, and it grows in the dark, in the quiet hours, in the invisible moments, until one day it becomes undeniable, until one day the life you've been building in silence steps into the light and everybody can see it. And they're going to ask you how you did it, and you're going to know. You're going to know that it wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it wasn't connections, it was silence, it was focus, it was discipline. It was you choosing yourself over and over and over again when nobody was watching. When nobody was clapping, when nobody cared, you showed up for yourself, you kept your mouth shut and you went to work. And that, my friend, is the most powerful thing a human being can do. So let me leave you with this. The world is loud. The world is full of opinions and critics and doubters and distractions. And it is going to do everything in its power to pull you out of your focus. It's going to send people to test you. It's going to create situations to frustrate you. It's going to dangle temptations in front of you to see if you're really serious. And the only thing that will save you is your ability to stay silent and stay focused. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a weapon. It is the most powerful weapon you have, because while everybody else is reacting, you are creating. While everybody else is talking, you are building. While everybody else is distracted, you are becoming. And becoming is a silent process. A seed doesn't make noise when it's growing under the ground. A tree doesn't announce when it's developing its roots. It just grows in the dark, in the silence, and then one day it breaks through the surface and everybody can see it. But the real work, the important work, happened where nobody could see it. That's you. You are the seed. And your job right now is to stop talking and start growing. Stop explaining and start rooting yourself in something real. Stop defending and start building something so strong that it doesn't need defense. This is your moment. Not next year, not when the timing is right, not when you feel ready now, because you will never feel ready. The timing will never be perfect. The conditions will never be ideal. You just have to decide that your future is worth more than your comfort. Your purpose is worth more than their approval. Your peace is worth more than their drama, and then go silent. Go to work and don't stop until your life speaks so loud that you never have to say a word.